you know, part of what a congressman can do is add amendments, force subpoenas, and basically make these people act like the real dictators they're trying to be. If you put simply worded amendments into legislation that they're then forced to vote up or down, the people are really going to get an idea of who these people are. Now, we're talking about Scott Brown's big victory last night. He voted for Romneycare, which was the basis of what the National Health Care Bill was lifted off of. So let's be careful who we go running into. Just because the Democrats are screwing things up now doesn't mean that we need to go running back to the Republicans. How many times are we going to be disappointed by both parties before we start looking around for a third option? That's what I'm trying to do. That's why I'm running. I want to give the people a third option. Amen. Thank
you. Along with what you were saying about the financial setup, basically what this is being driven by is the International Monetary Fund,
and World Bank,
and
yes,
the Bilderbergers and the UN.
That's
most of the members, and that includes Bernanke,
Alan Greenspan, Larry Summers,
and all of them are members of the Bilderberg group.
And Council on Foreign Relations.
Basically, their end game is to destroy the monetary and economic.
Absolutely, and what I would like to do is forge.
They're already minting coins for a one world order monetary.
Yes. Right.
Yep. Yeah, they want anything global.
Yeah, that brings up a great point, is the interlocking groups that actually control our government. At the top, he's right, Bilderberg is up there. There's also the Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission. Because Bilderberger is a foreign group, any person that's a U.S. Government person, whether they're Secretary of State, President, whatever, Congressman, Chris Dodd has been to a couple Bilderberg meetings, they should be arrested under the Logan Act. Because they are not there in any capacity representing the government on an official basis. These are secret meetings, secret minutes. There's people that go to these meetings that are not even on the list. And we've got our so-called representatives and statespeople up there going to these meetings and really driving the agenda for not only this country, but most of Europe too.
If you go on the internet and look up the Bilderberger Group, just put in members of the Bilderberger Group, you'll find out all the people that's on it, and it's probably some of the leading financial people and royalty.
Goldman Sachs is always represented, Citigroup, every major financial group,
company in the world,
even across the Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands, all of the Dutch World Bank, the Bank of England, and the two big families are the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. They are the banking heads that they're controlling all this stuff.
The last time an independent ran, we got Bill Clinton. You remember Ross Perot?
Yes.
Tried to break it up.
Right.
He spoiled it. This may happen to you.
It might, but think of it. How would our country be different if Ross Perot had won?
Who knows?
Well, between the Bush-Clinton, it's not been good because they both protect. It's the same thing. It's whether you're going to protect the bankers or you're going to protect the people from the bankers. And that's basically where the lines in the sand are drawn. And I think that's the most important thing that all the states need to realize, is that you've got two parties that are controlled by the same money powers. And what you have to do is, there might be some states where the Republican Party could be saved. Delaware isn't one of them, because the leadership of this state, Priscilla Rakestraw and Terry, what's his name, they are gun grabbers. They supported Mike Castle in his vote for the D.C. gun ban, which was later overturned by the Supreme Court as being unconstitutional. They don't stand for conservative, traditional, constitutional principles. And they swore an oath to uphold the Constitution. We send them there. They disappoint us time and time again. It's time that we look for a third option. And that's all I'm trying to give you guys, is a third option.
We're gonna leave.
Another thing I'd like to touch on real briefly is the campaign contribution reform. I don't think that anybody or any group, any entity, other than an individual, should be allowed to donate to a campaign. And I don't think that level can be capped, because that's also an infraction on the First Amendment and your freedom of speech. The fact that we've got labor unions, all kinds of industries, they're all allowed to give campaign contributions, and then the people who take these, I call them bribes, they get into office and they're owed. They've got to pay back. And a corporation doesn't have a vote. A group or a union doesn't have a vote. Individuals have a vote. And I think that's where the campaign contributions need to come from, 100%. The medical has got to be left up. Let's start with the medical, because that's a little easier. The medical, as far as the federal government is concerned, they should set up the regulation to where you can buy insurance in your state and you can go over state borders with it. Or you can buy insurance from another state. Everything and anything else is unconstitutional. It's got to be left up to the states. And that goes back to the financial things. All mandates, all subsidies by the federal government need to be abolished and repealed. Now, as far as the jobs, unemployment, and all that stuff, we have to get back to a manufacturing base. Once we strip the federal government down to size and we can unload the tax weight that we have, we get rid of the corporate tax. I want to abolish and make unconstitutional. The property tax is unconstitutional. We need to abolish it. If there is an amendment that I support to the Constitution, it would be that, is to completely eliminate any possibility of the government at any level to confiscate any property at any time. That's it. The people's, what is theirs, and the government should not have any right to it whatsoever. And includes eminent domain. That Supreme Court justice hearing, that Supreme Court hearing, that decision on eminent domain disgusts me. And part of the financial thing was about the jobs is we need to get a manufacturing base back. Once we eliminate the corporate taxes, and I'd be willing to look at like a national sales tax. But if we eliminate the corporate tax, the property tax, and the income tax, you will see a flood of private capital that's invested overseas come back to the United States. But it's up to the federal government to get the hell out of the way.
One more thing I'd like you to address. Some of the things you said, notably, I disagree with. Some of the things I agree with. You brought up the thing a while ago about being a convicted felon. How can you legally run for office?
Because all you need to do is be 25 and a legal U.S. Citizen.
And you can be a convicted felon.
Yes, you can.
Most convicted felons get that after they get in office.
Yeah, most of. And look, the things that I did weren't any worse than most of the people in here done. As I got caught and I spent 10 months in prison for it. There's all kinds of prison reforms that I'm for. I think people need to be locked up in isolation until they're willing to come out into a group setting where they can actually talk about their crimes. These guys are allowed to go into prison and get 10 times worse. They give them weights, they feed them good, they get bigger, stronger, and meaner, and then they let them out. This is not a sustainable prison system. There's no education, there's no kind of rehabilitation going on in that place. We are creating monsters in the prison system. Part of my life's experience is being able to look at all these different issues from all different angles. And, as far as being a felon, it might hurt my campaign, it might help it. That's up to the voter to decide.